I think in terms of using data in terms of sport, I think it was important to stress. Before I came being a rugby coach, I had 16 years in business. I worked for Xerox for 8 years and ran my own leasing and finance company for eight years before becoming a rugby coach. So I was used from the business point of view of looking at facts and figures and data. So when you move into a professional sport, using data was just, to me, fairly straightforward. The key thing was finding the company can actually do it. And one of the first companies I worked with was a company called Prozone, where we really started to analyze data in terms of what was actually happening. And I'd played at a high level, I coached at a high level, but never as a professional basis. So for the first time, we really started to look at every bit of data you can think of in terms of especially the individual players, what they're actually doing during the game. So that was kind of quite groundbreaking. And what we're trying to do is very simply sort of put some real kind of maths and sort of analysis behind what we were just seeing with our eyes. And I think the second thing, which was a really big step forward, so I think there was quite a few coaches kind of doing that, but kind of playing around with it. The big step forward was me involving the players, meaning I really got the players involved in using just laptop computers, using IT, and really starting to analyse their own performance. And I think when they, it's like all of us, when you're asked to actually analyse your own performance, they take it pretty seriously. So they start to analyse it, and they came up with, lots of kind of thoughts, and a lot of preconceptions about what we thought was happening in the game were blown out the window. And that was why it was such an exciting time, because we were definitely the first rugby team to actually do this. I think sports teams had done it. I got quite close to Formula One, especially at that time, McLaren, in terms of what they were doing. There's a lot of ideas in terms of all the analysis came from them. So it was just an exciting time, because from the playing's point of view, and I was, always kind of see myself as a player. They were coming in and seeing all this new kind of stuff in a way, and they really kind of took hold of it. And the rest is kind of history. We started to really kind of change the way we played, really based on what we're finding out through the analysis of the games we were playing in. Well, I think it's moved. I think the sort of technology analysis, analytics world's moved on tremendously in 20 years. But it's not stopped. This is not going to stop. This is what the great thing about all this. It's everyone's pushing. I think the big change currently, we used to do a lot of analysis, but it was kind of post-game. In other words, you'd get afterwards all the data and we'd kind of analyse things now. I mean, what's happening today, there's players with chips in their shirts, you're getting it in real time. So you really are getting it as a coach. You see in the stands, coaches sitting with laptops in front of them, and many of what are they doing? Are they kind of watching the telly, or what are they actually doing? But they're getting all this data back in real time, trying to see if you can make decisions in the moment and get those decisions onto the field of play. So I think that's the big step forward, where it's not just analysis. And then if you think about analytics, which to me is prediction, if that's the right way I look at it, analysis is kind of history, and analytics is trying to predict what's happening. And this is why you're trying to use all this, during the game. This is what we think may be happening next, because what we're seeing in real time. And I think the second key point about this is these players have got chips on them, and you're actually getting physiological data as well as just movement data. You're getting physiological data in terms of, in simple terms, is a player fatiguing, is he tiring? So you may be looking at a player and your gut feeling, or that of your medical team, is saying, well, we think he's looking tired. If that's backed up by the data, you may make a decision. And conversely, you mustn't get the wrong way around. I think it's a real danger if you're making decisions on data alone and your eyes are telling you maybe that's not what you're seeing. So it's a great process we're going to. But I think the secret, as always, is trying to get the players and all members of your team, whether it be the medical team, the playing staff and coaches, to be totally involved in this. They've got to understand what we're doing and why we're doing it. If they understand that, you tend to get more out of it, because a lot of the good ideas will always come from them. Yeah, I'm not sure it'd be over 20 years in terms of the next big thing in sport, but because it's kind of progressing so quickly. But the thing currently that's really kind of you see from a sporting point of view, but also see from a normal business point of view, is wearable technology. I mean, players do have chips sewn into their shirts. You're getting all sorts of movement data in terms of, say, rugby, but you're also getting physiological data. So the wearable technology, but also You can check on players' sleep habits, you can check on all sorts of their nutrition programs, and also during the actual competition, during a game of rugby, or whether when Lewis Hamilton's in his Mercedes Formula One car, we're getting all the amazing data that's kind of wearable in the car, but also the wearable data's now on the athlete or the driver or the rugby player or football player. So you get amazing data back from this. So I think the wearable technology is again the kind of the next big thing, but it's kind of happening already. And again, what I'd stress is, the more the player or the driver in this case understands, what he's doing and why he's doing it, and what information you're getting back, the better I think the information will come through, and the more you'll get the athletes contributing to what actually is going on at the time. I think I'm often asked this about sport and business. I think first of all, sport's a business. There is no difference. I mean, this is why I was very lucky. Before becoming the England head coach, I had 18 years in business. And when you take over a rugby team like England, you suddenly realise it's a business. We've got 50 odd players in the room. It's just a little bit more public, but at the end of the day, you've got to deliver results. I think the kind of what I've found, what I've seen in successful businesses and successful sports teams that I've not only been part of, but I've been lucky enough to go behind the scenes and see other teams, is just this huge thirst for knowledge. I think we can talk about knowledge and know-how. The real top teams have this real passion for this, and it's always, you're always pushing. You never think you've kind of cracked it. And I know in sport that the moment you think, okay, we're kind of here, you're going to come second, because your competition will always be pushing the actual boundaries. So, when I'm working in business and sport, the big thing I'm looking for all the time, and where does this knowledge come from? How do you capture it? How do you study it? And more importantly, how do you implement it? If you think something is going to make a difference, have you got the capacity and the opportunity to actually put this in place so it actually happens? I see a lot of people come up with some good ideas, but they can't actually put it into the real life business that makes you score more tries, win more gold medals, or improve your bottom line profits. So I think knowledge is key, and I think the moment you stop being what I call a sponge and a real passion for knowledge, you're going to come second. It's time to pack in. Yeah, I think in terms of the emerging technologies in business, what we're seeing, almost without exception, is just the growth of mobile. I think we all know mobile is here to stay. The numbers are astonishing. But the technologies now, in terms of being on mobile, are absolutely huge. And I think from a sporting point of view, it's understanding the importance of learning and how mobile can be so important for anybody, whether you're a small kid or you're a professional athlete. Learning is at the key to it. And what we found is some of the technologies around the mobile device are so exciting now. It allows you to learn, but also allows you to share information and knowledge with other players and athletes and kind of learn the right things. So I think we're moving on hugely from sort of the kind of the classroom, the kind of coaching room or the school room, to everything is on the mobile technology. And the standard of the mobiles now is amazing, and the download speed. And it's all about learning, and I've always been big on this, and you should do it longhand within a team in the team room. Now, because it's on mobile, you can just keep it going all the time. And as I said, the secret, if it is a secret to success in sport, is getting real engagement with the actual players and coaches involved. If you get that engagement, it's a two-way thing. I think mobile has really given everybody no excuses now. And the top athletes don't need an excuse, they do it anyway. They really want to engage with the athletes and the team about what they're doing and why they're doing it, and mobile is key to that. Yeah, I think the world of finance has changed hugely. I must say, my background's in finance. I run a small finance and leasing company, and I think when you look at the big corporations, historically the finance departments that sort of always there, they're there to sort of make sure everything runs smoothly. That's hugely changed now. I think the role of finance is really one of your leading people in any high-performing team, and the whole thing about finance is trying to move from analysis about what has happened into the analytics world, where you really are sort of asking the finance people to sort of predict about what may happen in the future using very sophisticated data and analytics. And so the finance people, you want to be part of your team, because you're trying to predict trends in whatever your business you're in, and you're trying to use the finance people who've got incredible, let's face it, incredible intellect and brains to actually really get involved in some of this data and predict what's going to happen, where in the other functions within the organisation they may not have that skill set. So if I was a young finance people, I'd absolutely want to be at the sharp end in terms of not just sort of doing all the various numbers, but trying to predict and trying to find ways of predicting, and can you help the business in terms of making sure they do all the right things based on what you, not just gut feeling, which tends to happen, but real analysis and analytics. And if you're the kind of boss of a company, you think this is the way it's going, and it's backed up by real sophisticated analytics by your finance people, then it's okay, let's get on with it. And that's what I'd be asking them to do, but really kind of lead in this and try and, again, think of what your opposition is doing, and can we find ways of really helping our whole company to almost predict the future. I think that's what the finance role is now. I think the discussion around talent is always very interesting. I have this very simple line that talent alone is not enough. And what I mean by that is you've got to have the talent. To be very clear, you can't take people off the street and put them into any job unless they've got the talent to do the job. But the key thing is understanding it's a starting position, not the finishing position. The really talented people will use technology to enhance their talent. And I think technology has a huge role to play. There's certainly in sport, you can't get there anymore, whether you're an athlete or a coach, just based on your talent. You've got to use every bit of advantage around you to try and leverage that talent. In saying that, you can't make someone what they're not. Unless you've got this raw talent to start with, you're not going to get there. But if you've got the talent, it hasn't got to be the best talent, you can certainly use technology and sports science and all these things to really leverage your talent. And that's what I've seen. I've seen people definitely who are not the most talented people really go to the top of the tree and win Olympic gold medals and all sorts of things, because they've used every bit of advantage to leverage their talent. And technology is top of the list. Quite simply, this goes back to my Xerox days. Whoever wins in IT tends to win. Nothing's changed, and IT meaning technology. So if you've got a real grasp of technology, and what I found in the rugby world, in the Olympic world, the real talented athletes, they get totally involved in this. They are good with technology. They are good at analysing data because they can leverage their own talent to help themselves. So it's huge, technology. You'll never win solely on technology, but if you combine the two, talent plus technology equals high performance. There you go.